Hey y'all, it's Cole here with a gift of a 1 hour flow from my membership site CCY Studio. Just wanted to give you an embodied taste of some of the longer offerings and what it's like to have a little bit more time to move, to feel, to breathe, to Shavasana. So I hope that you enjoy, and if you do, check the link below for a discount code. Hello and welcome to your practice. You're joining me at Ubud Raya Riverside Resort. It is a stunning shala right down here in the middle of the verdant Bali Green. So really happy to be practicing here. Really fortunate to be practicing here. So today I want us to move really slowly. And we're going places as well. Sometimes we equate slowness to not getting anything done, which we don't always need this productivity mindset, by the way. But we still go places and we get there in a different way. We can absorb more. It's more considered when we can move slowly, more nuance. So I'm reading a book right now. It's in our current book club. So go back and look at this, Stolen Focus. And it's about the science of why we can't pay attention. It is an eerie and important read. And it speaks about how in today's day and age, especially with all of our technology, that we're training our brain to fragment and to switch from one thing to another, all the multitasking, all the zillions of conversations that we have in a day. Think about all the different messages, conversations that you have like in Messenger or in WhatsApp, emails, and then, with actual humans, but we're switching. And then with all of our tasks is that we stay on this kind of surface phatic level because we're not allowing ourselves to sink in to anything. Our ability to have depth is challenged. So when we slow down and make deliberate movements, we live our life more deliberately, more considered. We are retraining the brain. So I've said before, our brain is a pattern-making machine. So what we put in, the information that we put in, is the way that the patterns are made. So we are shaped by our experience. We can also be reshaped by our future experience. So the more you know, we can begin to shift. So today we're going to slow down, notice, maybe notice how hard it is to slow down, but see what else you notice as well as we move. And we'll find some deeper spaces today and know that there is a spectrum and a gradient for all of these asana. And in your body, in all of our bodies, from day to day, the time of day, all of that jazz. So let's begin in Sukhasana, legs crossed, maybe sitting up on a bolster. Closing the eyes down or letting your eyes be heavy. Beginning to notice your breath. And then drinking it in a little bit bigger. Releasing it out a little bit slower. Let's breathe together for a few rounds. So full exhale, fill up belly, chest, ribs. Pause at the top for just a moment. And then slow exhale. You can choose nose or mouth. And when you get to the bottom, pause there for a beat or two. And then upturn, inhale. Hold at the top. And exhale, slow, sustained release. Pause at the bottom. Continue like this with your own pace. And just having a little retention at the top and at the bottom of the breath. Holding the breath in and holding the breath out. Forms of kumbhaka, breath retention. Fun word to say. And notice if it feels a little more edgy on one end or the other. And coming back to a natural rhythm, no holding, no managing. And press down through your sit bones so you find a little bit more length through the spine. Pull the heart center forward just a little bit so you can broaden your collarbone, so you get a little bit wider from shoulder to shoulder. And then lengthen the back of the neck. Let's bring the hands to heart center. Feel hand pushing into hand, finger pushing into finger. Palm pressing into palm. If you'd like to set an intention here. One of mine lately has been to settle into a slower pace. May I slow down so I can be in my life. Not rushing through it. And let's begin. Interlace your fingers and then push them out. Push them away from you. Chin towards the chest, round the back. So big stretch in the back body. Next inhale, lift the arms up, slight bend at the elbows. And then maybe press one heel of the hand up and then the other. And then cactus the arms, stick the tongue out. Lion's breath. Hands go behind you, tent the fingers up, roll the shoulders back, heart center forward, push into the fingers. You can imagine that the bottom tips of your scapula are like lifting, propping your heart up just slightly. Bend the elbows maybe. Open the throat. And then next, exhale, hands to heart center. Full breath in. Interlace the hands, push the hands away. Chin to chest. Next inhale, lift up, slight bend in the elbows. And then exhale, cactus, lion's breath. Hands go down by this to the floor. Roll the shoulders back, bend the elbows, push into the earth and lift the heart up. Stay here for a full round of breath. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let's move into tabletop position. So wrists under the shoulders and Hasta Bandha in the hands. You may have heard me speak about this lately, is pressing down through the fingers and the knuckles, and there's a little bit of a suction of a lift in the center of the palm. So this aids in having some upward lift, some upward energy coming from that downward push, the rebound effect a little bit. Soft bend in the elbows. And then just take some cat-cow at your own pace. I like to kind of bend the elbows as I bring the belly down, but you play around with it how you would like. Any variations here? But move with breath. So it's breath initiated. Bring your hands a little bit farther up your mat here. Tuck the toes and then come back into an active child's pose. So the hips towards the heels, the hands pressing down and pulling towards the knees. So it's kind of like you got a battle between the heart trying to pull forward and the tailbone trying to pull back. Feel that resistance. A little bit of a pounce position here. And then round as you come forward. And we're going to lift up into plank pose. Push down into the earth. Lifting the knees, pressing through the heels. Slight bend in the knees. Press up and back, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet, the legs. Pick up the hands as well. So kind of pick them up, put them down. Cat paw. Cat finding the perfect place to nap. And then put the weight into the left foot and press down so much that the right toes lift up just a little bit. Spread the right toes and then slowly lift the right leg. Lift through the inner thigh. You can bend the left leg and bend it so much that maybe the belly comes onto the thighs. Pressing through the hands, really long from the wrists down all the way to the right toes. And then bend the right leg and open up the hip. You can think about externally rotating the tops of both thighs here. Put more weight into the right hand to keep the shoulders square and just getting a big opening on the hip. And then gaze forward. We're going to take a really big step outside the right hand. Bring the back knee down and we're going to slowly melt into a lizard pose here. Remembering that we're just getting started. So you can begin to let the hips come forward. I've got some blocks here. Maybe hands to blocks. We're just beginning. So I like to soften the elbows and then pull my heart center forward. I'm not even worried about coming down. Really pressing onto the pinky toe edge side of the right foot. And just lifting the heart up. Kind of thinking about this whole sheath of the front of the body, like pulling pubic bone towards the belly, belly towards the heart, heart towards the throat. Finding length here. Steady breath. Kind of sponge up the oxygen. And you can really feel it when you slow down and listen to what it feels like to take a big inhale. We just do it so automatically, thankfully. Really feel what the sensation of breathing is like. One more breath in. On your breath out, press down through the hands and through your front foot. We're going to come back, maybe bring the blocks with you into an Hanumanasana half splits. So some options here. I like to kind of move my foot forward a little bit and bring my hands to blocks. And rather than coming down, I'm going to stay up. Hands reach, kind of energetically reach back towards the hips so the heart can pull forward. Steady breath, toes flexing back towards the face. And then often also see if you can tilt the sit bones up, like kind of sticking the booty out just a little bit and how that intensifies. And see what it's like to bring the front sole of the foot down. You can get some stretch on the front shin. And then flexing back. Coming forward again. This time, planting the hands down into the ground or to the blocks, and we'll lengthen both legs. They don't need to go straight, but they're just long and pour forward. Inhale, halfway lift, length. And exhale, pour forward. Twice more like this, moving with breath, riding the wave of the breath, unfurling. Once more. And fold forward. Bend into the front leg. Gaze forward. And then left foot meets the right. As you fold forward, Uttanasana. Soft bend in the elbows. Hands can go anywhere. In front, around the ankles. And then bend the knees even more. Press down through the feet so much that you begin to roll up. And roll up with a little bit of a vibration, of a shake. Arms lift. And exhale, hands, heart center. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale, soft bend in the knees as you fold forward. Lead with the heart. So it's like the gaze even stays up. The heart leads down. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, unfurl, find length. And then step back, downward facing dog. Lift the heels. Chin to chest, round forward. Make a really big cat in the back. And then slowly the knees drip down. Soften the elbows. The heart pulls forward. And then lay yourself down. Thighs, belly, chest. Tap of the head. Inhale, high or low cobra. Stay for a couple rounds of breath. Hands can be wide. They could be by the ribs. They could even be lifting up off the ground here. Engaging the glutes, engaging the whole back body. And then pressing back through the knees, downward facing dog. Pedaling out. We'll switch sides. Press down so much through the right foot that the left toes begin to lift. Spread them. Lift the leg up. Standing leg has a slight bend. Maybe belly comes towards the thighs. And then bend the left leg. Externally rotate at the tops of both thighs. Press more into the left hand. So this helps to kind of isolate the opening in the legs a little bit more. One more big inhale here. And then slow step outside the left hand. Plant the back knee down. And let's stay up if you'd like. Letting the hips melt down, but in no rush. And kind of glue energetically the front heel and the back knee together. See how that feels? And then you can kind of release it. Feel that pulse of the energy and then the release. And then again, the front sheath of the body finding length from pubic bone, belly, heart, that lift on the front side. Sending big breath to big sensation. So where do you feel it really enliven in the body? And then send the breath, visualize the breath going to that space. And then we shift back, Ardha Hanumanasana. So pressing down through the front foot and the hands as you shift the hips back. Maybe you rearrange the front leg or the front heel. Hands down to the floor or to blocks. I like to stay up here. So I'm still kind of magnetizing the front heel and the back knee. Flexing the toes towards the face. Sending the hips up and back as the heart center reaches forward. Again, kind of like somebody's pulling my heart with a string and then also pulling back from the tailbone. A little bit of resistance there. Next inhale, coming forward. And you can shift the feet forward. Lift the back knee as you pour. And we move with breath. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Three more times with breath. Unfurl on the inhale. Pour forward on the exhale. Last out breath. Bend into the front knee, gaze forward. And then big step up. Right foot meets the left as you fold Uttanasana. Soft bend in the knees. Press down as you roll up. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale, hands to heart center. And a couple sun salutations here. Inhale, arms rise. And exhale, fold forward. Step back with the right foot. Big step back with the right foot. The back knee plants. And as it does, lift the arms up. One breath. And exhale, hands plant, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward plank pose. And exhale, knees, chest, chin, or all the way down to the ground. Untuck the toes as the heart slithers forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. One round of breath. Inhale, the right leg lifts. Exhale, big step forward in between the hands and the back knee plants. Inhale, rise on Janayasana, low lunge. And exhale, big step forward as you fold, Uttanasana. Bend in the knees, press down, lift up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to heart center. Other side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold forward, heart led. Step back with the left foot. The back knee plants. Next inhale, you lift the arms up. Exhale, find your way downward facing dog. So your breath might be different than mine, that's fine. Inhale, wave forward plank pose. And knees, chest, chin, or come all the way down to the ground. Inhale, high or low cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog and come through the knees. One round of breath. Inhale, the left leg lifts through the inner thigh. And exhale, big step forward in between the hands. The back knee plants. Press down to lift up. One breath. And exhale, plant the hands, fold forward, Uttanasana. Bend in the knees, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let them come all the way down by the sides. Tadasana. Stay here for a moment. And now after some movement, let's pause and feel. Have a moment of sustained attention and curiosity about what's happening. Feeling the breath, the vibration. Prana being built, cultivated. Press down firmly through the feet. And as you do that, can you feel a little bit of lift in the center of the arch? And lifting the kneecaps. Maybe even lifting the heart center just a little bit. And at the same time, letting the shoulders melt on the back, letting the tailbone reach towards the heels, and the heels reach towards the earth. So at the same time, there's so much going on. There is a lift and a grounding. And they support one another. Palms are open, facing forward, receiving and allowing. Next inhale, lift the arms up. Slight bend in the knees as you fold forward, heart-led. Inhale, unfurl, halfway lift. And exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Taking a moment, wiggle the hips. And then inhale, the right leg lifts. Full round of breath here. Spreading the toes, really reaching out. Bend the knee and open the hip. And taking a moment, just reaching the leg over as far as you can, like you were about to touch a wall. Just getting lots of length here. At the same time, pressing through the right hand to kind of counterbalance. And then gaze forward, a big step up on the outside of the right hand. Bringing the back knee down, coming back into a lizard pose, revisiting, maybe feeling a little bit different here. Possibly the hands walking forward now. Your choice what happens with the back foot. Some of us will like to tuck the toes. Some of us will like to lay it down. See what feels good. Option, turn onto the pinky toe edge side of the foot. And then pull back on the right hip crease. See how that feels. Maybe soften the elbows. And your option, I don't think I'm there yet, but you can come down onto the elbows. Wherever you go, be sure that you can fully inhale and exhale because that is the intention. We don't want to sacrifice the breath for that. About 3 more rounds here. Filling up and releasing. Slowly pressing down into the hands and the front foot as we really use the heel as a lever, as the gas pedal to push us back into Ardha Hanumanasana. Half splits. So here, more emphasis on the sit bones coming up and like as if the pelvis was a bowl. Well, it's called the pelvic bowl. That you could pour water out the front of the bowl. That cue works for some people. If it doesn't, just ignore it. This is going to likely intensify in the hamstring. And you can bend this front knee as much as you'd like, but just explore how to intensify just a little bit. You can play around with what direction the toes are pointing. And then we're going to come all the way back. So you can sit the hips all the way back onto the inside of the foot. You may want to sit up on a block or a bolster here. We just want to sit on the inside of the heel. Many of us will stay right here. I'm getting a quad stretch here. Or you can begin to come back a little bit. So this is half hero's pose. An option, see if you like it or not, is that you can kind of lean over, pull the calf out a little bit, and come back down. Just an option. Take care of your knee here. If you'd like to come back, you can begin to lean back. Every time you come back a little bit more, lift the hips, lengthen the tailbone, and come back down. I can always immediately feel more of a stretch on the front quad when I do that. I might come down a little bit more. I'm going to lengthen as I come down. So find your sustainable variation. Some may be able to come all the way down. Other of us will stay up. And if this doesn't work for your knee, then don't even worry about it. You can bend the left leg into a tree pose. It'll be a different stretch, but that's fine. We don't want to be sacrificing safety or sacrificing the breath. We're also never going to like the very, very edge. I feel like edge talk in yoga has been a little bit challenging, like as if we're always trying to find the edge, but we're not. It's a growing edge. You know, we're learning to move along with it, not to blast it. In Bali, they say, hati hati. Slowly, slowly, or carefully, carefully. I hear it very often said Balinese to tourists when they're riding on their motorbikes, like, oh, hati hati, like careful, like be considered, go slowly. And so often we don't in many, many realms. We can practice this on our mat or in no rush. Whenever you're ready, hati hati coming out. Take a moment sitting up. We're going to come back forward into a low lunge. So maybe you bend the front leg a little bit. You can push off. Coming into a low lunge. And we're going to swivel on the back leg. So swivel so that the shin is parallel. And rotate to the back of the mat. Left hand plants. Right arm lifts up. Right sole of the foot comes all the way down to the ground, and maybe that means you bend the leg a little bit, and we'll take a big rainbow side stretch here. Maybe the hand drips to the back of the head, and the head presses back into the hand. In this case, you can reach through the elbow and get quite a bit of activation on the right side body. And then slowly we come back around to the front of the mat. Extended side angle here, variation, right hand to the thigh, and left arm up and over. Maybe the right hand reaches on the inside, the right elbow reaches on the inside. In this case, you can press one into another. Get a lot of activation here. Steady breath. Top arm can also reach behind the back, taking a bind. One more big inhale. And exhale. Listen, we're going to fold on the inside of the leg. The hands are going to open up. The left leg swivels back around, and your choice, knee up or knee down. We're going to pour forward and open the arms wide. So you can lift if you'd like. Drip the head down. You can also plant the sole of the foot down in kind of like a warrior two situation to get a little bit more balance. So lots of options here. One more option, if you'd like it, is that you can take the hands behind the back and take a bind. Continue to pull back on the right hip crease. Head can just pour forward. Be sure to take your position where you'd like to be here. Many options. And slowly unwind and find your way back to downward facing dog, however you'd like to get there. Take your time. And then lift the right leg up again. Bend the knee, open the hip. And we're going to take a wild thing or any variation. So many variations here. You can take the left heel down. You can take this more as a side plank. Or you can begin to open up the heart, cactusing the top arm, making it really as large as you'd like. The toes can reach up towards the hand, or they could stay back down towards the foot, other option. And then coming back around, fall in triangle. So bring the knee into the chest and kick it all the way out to the other side. This time coming up onto the right hand. Press down, down, down. Left arm reaching towards the right corner of the mat. Make this really large, really wide. You can feel big opening left side body here. And then find your way downward facing dog. Kind of pull the pieces back in. Inhale, wave forward plank pose. Drip the knees down. And just have a play with some moving cat-cow here. So waving the spine. You can also do this between plank and down dog. I feel like I can have a little bit more nuance with my knees on the ground. It's like I can focus a little bit more on the articulation. And you can make it really small or really big. I like to drag the hands and knees towards one another when I'm arching, and then push them away from one another as I'm rounding the back. So see what works in your body. And then slowly finding downward facing dog, full round of breath. You got time to get there. And let's switch sides. Inhale, the left leg lifts. Bend the knee and open the hip and reach the toes as far as you can, like they're reaching for something, while still putting weight into the left hand. Steady breath. And then a big step on the outside of the left hand. Bring the back knee down. Lizard pose. Maybe different variation here. Maybe not. Don't expect the same thing as happened on the other side. We are rarely even on both sides. So just check it out slowly. Hati, hati. Some of the variations that I mentioned, like rolling onto the knife edge of the left foot, pulling back on the left hip crease, and maybe coming forward more. You can find stillness, or it can be nice to just ever so slightly ride the breath. Let the inhale lift you up and exhale fold you down, just to remind ourselves of that rhythm of the breath. A few more rounds here, so if you'd like to shift position a little bit, about 3 more rounds of breath. And begin to shift backwards. So carefully bringing yourself up, lengthening the front leg. We're going to come all the way back into a seat here, but let's pause here for a moment, sending the hips up, flexing the front foot. Ardha Hanumanasana. Maybe moving the toes. Finding like little nooks and crannies that you can breathe in. Then coming all the way back. And then finding where you would like to be here. Maybe rolling the calf out just slightly. You can sit up on something as well, sit up on a block or a bolster. And maybe you stay here, maybe you continue your journey back. As you come back, lengthen the tailbone towards the top of the mat. You hear the cicadas vibrating up. Speaking of vibration, like when we find certain places, what's been nice lately, certain places where there is quite a bit of sensation, the exhale can be a hum. Kind of like this internal om or a hum. It's really supportive and stimulating for the vagus nerve, which settles us. Alpacas hum, mamas hum to their babies. So that the alpacas, we don't have them anymore, but they're always humming. So cute. But it's really a beautiful self-regulation technique. A few more rounds of breath. And slowly coming back up. Maybe bending the front leg to help come forward. You can use the blocks. Low lunge, Hanumanasana. And flip the back leg around. And we'll maneuver to the back of the mat. Right hand plants. Left sole of the foot plants. And maybe bend that left standing leg a little bit so you can get more of an arc. Really press down through the right hand. Arc, arc, arc. Left hand can come behind the head, maybe even reach towards the arm. Kind of grab a hold of the arm. Or maybe behind the head presses back into the hand, reach through the elbow, your choice. Just imagining getting opening on the left side body. And then coming back around, extended side angle, the supported extended side angle. Left hand or left elbow to the knee or on the inside. Right arm can come up and over. Also nice to kind of grab on the inside of the ankle here. Maybe find some movement. One more big inhale. And exhale, we're pouring on the inside of the leg. The hands are going to go wide. The back leg swivels around. Your choice here, many places to explore. Continue to pull back on the left hip crease though, so that the hips aren't swinging out too much. Maybe explore lifting the back knee. This can give a little bit more space to pour forward to let the head come down. And also remember, you can bring the back heel down into like a warrior two situation to have a little bit more balance. Just play in these shapes. Come out if you need. Two more rounds of breath. And then plant the hands, find your way back downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up. Bend the knee, open the hip, and your choice of where you'd like to go with a wild thing. Big, small. Several rounds of breath. And when you're ready, bring the knee into the chest as you pivot on the back foot, fallen triangle.
and reach in opposite directions, everything reaching, getting large, getting wide. And downward facing dog. Play with your waves, undulation, either between plank and down dog or drop the knees and come between that rolling cat and child's pose. Just a couple rounds of breath. Wherever you are, bring the knees down, bring the hips to the heels. Palms up in the lap. Heart center pulling forward. And just to sustain stillness for a moment. Maybe the seat feels delicious, or maybe it's challenging. We live in an incredibly busy world. So much vying for our attention. It's really quite an act of rebellion to find little moments of stillness to carve out for ourselves. I really believe the effects of that ability is so needed and medicinal, and it also ripples out. The ability to be with rather than have to constantly be jumping around. A distracted mind has much challenge. Having depth, and everything really meaningful in our life requires depth, relationships, things that bring us purpose, things that bring us joy. Couple rounds of breath, couple more. Being right here. Downward facing dog. Inhale, the right leg slowly lifts up. And a big step in between the hands, around the back as you come forward. Big step in between the hands. Bring the back knee down. Grab your blocks. We're going to work into Hanumanasana if you'd like. Otherwise, we're just coming from Anjaneyasana into Hanumanasana. And you can play right here. Or you begin to just make it a little bit bigger as you go. And the way that you can do that, you can kind of watch my back leg here, is I can begin to scoot, toe, knee, you don't hear that very often, toe, knee, the back leg back. And then you can also do that with the front here. Just begin to wiggle the foot forward. You are in control of where you'd like to be here. Hands on blocks is really helpful. And then maybe you find a place where you'd like to stay and breathe. Continue to keep the heart lifted. This front heel can be pretty powerful to press into, but kind of still thinking about the pubic bone to the belly to the heart, staying lifted here. Just see what's going on. Can you observe and be with what's happening without giving too much judgment to it? Some other options. You can see one block here I'm bringing down underneath my thigh. The other one I can just use for some stability. Steady breath. So I'm scissoring the thighs, meaning the front hip is pulling back, the back hip is pulling forward. Continuing to breathe. No place to get to, just exploring. To come out of this, It's never entirely graceful, but kind of the way that we came back in. So you can bring the chest or the chin to the chest, press into the hands as you drag the heel and then the knee, kind of bringing them all back in. And maybe come back into a low lunge here. Press down and through the toes, lift the heel up. Let's take a little bit of a back bend, so open, 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 maybe hands pressing into blocks. Possibly the arms lift up and back, clasp, maybe Kali Mudra here. Open heart. And release, downward facing dog. Wave in and out if you'd like. And let's switch sides. Inhale, slow lift of the left leg. Lift through the inner thigh here. And then exhale, slowly move forward, really puff up the back of the heart to give you space to step. We're going in the same way, not necessarily getting to the same place, but going in the same way. It'll be different on each side. So taking a moment, just Anjaneyasana, and leveraging the hips back into Ardha Hanumanasana. If I remember correctly, Anjaneyasana is the mother of Hanumanasana. So it's interesting that Hanumanasana was the monkey god. So interesting, or not interesting, but fitting that Anjaneyasana is like a prep pose to get into monkey pose. And then when you're ready, you can continue to just work here. Just begin to widen out a little bit. Toe, knee, heel. And see what happens on this side. Again, you could be pulling, scissoring the hips, really helpful to keep some integrity and some strength in the pose. You can also think about dragging the front heel back and the knee forward, back knee forward. And I can notice that I've got more space on this side. You can also tell that I'm wanting to open up towards the right, so I'm continuing to pull the left hip crease back and staying a little higher. Just notice sensations. This front knee can be bent. Continuing to lift the front of the body, staying open. Still breathing, everyone, I hope. And when you're ready at your time, hati, hati, slowly coming out. I like to push down to pull in. Slowly coming back into Anjaneyasana. Maybe lifting the front heel. Beginning to open the heart, maybe arms follow. Really scissoring the thighs here. And release. Downward facing dog. Slow travel, feet towards the hands. Let's wave out the spine about 3 or 4 times with your breath. So unfurl, lengthen the heart, and then fold. Knees can be as bent as you'd like. Every time you unfurl, get a little bit longer in the spine and then fold. Once more. This time, bend the knees, hips to heels. Give yourself a big hug, wrap around. And slowly, we're going to roll all the way down onto the back. A couple rolling bridges here, just as a little, to wave out the low back. Feet come down to the ground. Hands come down towards the heels. First, bring the belly to the spine, the low back to the floor so that the hips lift. Press down through the feet so much as the hips lift, the arms go over the head, and then exhale, wave everything down. 3 or 4 times like this with your breath. See if you can time the arms and the hips landing at the same time. And windshield wipering the legs. Anything else you'd like to explore and touch on, go for it, or just sprawl out. And we'll take a Shavasana here. Let the feet fall open, let the arms fall open, palms up. Shavasana as a sustained surrender. What a potent practice and a needed practice to stay, to be still. Maybe the next few exhales are humming, an internal hum, and that vibration come alive in your body. Maybe hands on heart and hands on belly so you can feel it even more. And slowly at your own time, finding your way from Shavasana, from the ending back into Sukhasana, where we began. And let there be many pauses and breaths
in between. Maybe a few spirals of the spine as you find yourself in a seat. And just to feel in, to explore the effects of your practice. And thank yourself for showing up and slowing down. We need more spaces where we can practice presence to help counteract the wild fragmentation and scatteredness of our society, the world that we live in, that we do live in these days. And our practice can really help to tether us to and anchor us to some stillness, to our ability to find depth and meaning in a busy world. So thank yourself. And thank you for trusting me with your practice. And let's pour forward in thanks and gratitude. Suksama. Namaste. Thank you all so much. I really encourage you to check out the book Stolen Focus, and we're book clubbing it right now. It may already be over, but we have the replays in CCY Studio. It's an incredible and important book, so we can continue till we know what's going on, so that we can counteract the busyness and come back into center. So I hope this practice was supportive for you. Leave a comment, let me know. I'll see you next time on your mat.